Human rights group and advocates, as well as religious leaders and relatives of victims of extrajudicial killings, filed a disbarment case against former President Rodrigo Duterte. Based on a complaint, they claimed that Duterte violated the Code of Professional Responsibility and Accountability. They also cited Duterte's conduct on becoming a lawyer. Duterte obtained his law degree from San Beda and was admitted to the bar in 1973. He was a former prosecutor. In October, Duterte appeared before the Senate and admitted giving kill orders to the death squad in connection with his anti-illegal drugs campaign. Attorney Vicente Jaime Topacio, who is one of the complainants, says that with Duterte's invocation of his role as lawyer and prosecutor in his recent testimony at the hearings of House of Representatives and the Senate, they believe it is time for victims of human rights violations to speak up. He adds that it is the right time to appeal to the Supreme Court to reinforce how the law should work in the Philippines and how the law should shield victims of human rights violations. Topacio is the son of National Democratic Front of the Philippines consultants Agaton Topacio and Eugenia Magpantay, who were victims of extrajudicial killings in their home in November 2020. Aside from Topacio, other complainants include Lore Pasco, whose sons Crisanto and Juan Carlos were found dead on October 2017, killed in an alleged police drug war operation. Also a complainant is Lizelle Asuncion, widow of Bayan Cavite coordinator Manny Asuncion, who was among the 9 activists killed in the so-called Bloody Sunday massacre in March 2021. Rosenda Limita, whose daughter Ana Maris and son-in-law Ariel Evangelista were killed during the Bloody Sunday police raids, and Lejan Porquia, son of slain Bayan Muna Panay coordinator Jory Porquia, also joined the complaint against Duterte. Karapatan Secretary General Cristina Palabay says the petition for disbarment of Duterte is relevant since he has presented himself as one of the legal counsels of his daughter, Vice President Sara Duterte, who is currently facing at least 3 impeachment complaints. Palabay adds that their group fervently hopes the disbarment petition will be given due course by the Supreme Court. Disbarment is the removal of a lawyer's right to practice law. Once disbarred, a lawyer's name will be stricken out from the roll of attorneys. Only the names included in the roll can practice law. The former president has yet to issue a statement on the matter. President Bongbong Marcos maintains that now is not the right time for impeachment complaints against Vice President Sara Duterte, particularly as the country is approaching the election period. In an interview in Leyte on Friday, January 17, Marcos says the timing of the impeachment complaint against Duterte is very poor, especially as the campaign season for the 2025 midterm election comes close.
But I don't think that now is the time to go through that. So, paubayan na muna natin sa ating... Total, as a practical matter, papasok na tayo sa campaign period. Wala ng congressman, wala ng senador dahil nangangampanya na sila. Hindi tayo makakapagbuo ng quorum. And so as a practical matter, the timing is very poor.
In the same interview, Marcos was asked for a comment on Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Juan Ponce Enriquez's remarks that Filipinos could face a very detrimental president if the logic implied in the Iglesia ni Cristo's National Rally for Peace is followed. The religious group organized the rally last Monday, January 13, to express support for Marcos' rejection of impeachment efforts against Duterte. In Enriquez's warning, he questioned whether or not the INC can override constitutional processes. Enriquez asks if the country is prepared to discard or sacrifice the value of the rule of law for a person or a group of persons.
JP is one of our best legal thinkers in the country, and he is right. There is a consequence to. There will be a precedence, and it will be very problematic. But I still think that now, even if Congress is mandated to process this, Congress doesn't have the House doesn't have a choice, and the Senate doesn't have a choice once this impeachment complaints are filed.
President Marcos previously pointed out that Duterte should not be impeached because it would not benefit Filipinos, and there are other issues in the government that needs to be addressed. President Bongbong Marcos stresses that teaching comprehensive sexuality education in schools is very important. In an ambush interview in Leyte on Friday, January 17, Marcos was asked whether or not the controversial comprehensive sexuality education being implemented by schools under Department of Education Order No. 31 should continue. Marcos says that teaching of factors concerning sexuality education in schools is very important.
Well, as long as, yun na nga, because you know what, I think what you're talking about, dumadami ang teenage pregnancy, dumadami ang single mothers, dumadami ang sakit. These are all of the things that we need to address. And so the the teaching of this in our schools is very, very, very important.
Marcos reiterates that lack of proper knowledge about pregnancy, child care, and adequate nutrition are some of the challenges that teenage mothers face due to insufficient sex education.
And to make young people especially knowledgeable about what are the options that are truly available to us and what the consequences are of having a child too soon, too early. Having children is a very difficult situation for both the child and the parent.
In an interview last Wednesday, January 15, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, who heads the Senate's panel on basic education, said he will launch an investigation into the comprehensive sexuality education as well as on Senate Bill number 1979, otherwise known as the Prevention of Adolescent Pregnant Act of 2023. Gatchalian pointed out that one of the concerns raised by the Christian community was that students at any level, even those in kindergarten, would be subjected to comprehensive sex education. President Bongbong Marcos says that the National Price Coordinating Council's recommendation to the Department of Agriculture to declare a food security emergency for rice will likely be received next week. In an ambush interview in Leyte on Friday, January 17, Marcos was asked to comment on the proposed food crisis declaration of the Department of Agriculture. Marcos says the agency is still waiting for the recommendation of the National Price Coordinating Council, which will likely be received next week. In a palace briefing on Thursday, January 16, Agriculture Secretary Francisco Tiu Laurel Jr. said they are now awaiting the full recommendation from the National Price Coordinating Council, which urges the declaration of a food security emergency for rice before granting it a go signal. While Laurel noted that it is the Department of Agriculture that will approve or deny the recommendation, he will present it to Marcos once he receives it. According to Marcos, the reason for the recommendation of food crisis declaration is that the government has done everything to lower the price of rice, but the market is not being allowed to function properly.
The reason that we are doing this is ginawa na natin lahat upang ibaba ang presyo ng bigas. Ngunit the market is not being allowed to work properly. Hindi nasusundan ang demand and supply curve dahil hanggang ngayon, kahit ibaba mo lahat ng inputs, ang pagbenta pa rin, mataas pa rin.
The National Food Authority warehouses currently store 300,000 metric tons of rice buffer stocks. The Department of Agriculture's food security emergency would authorize the release of these stocks to Kadiwa stores and local government units, making room for the expected new harvest in February. 84% of Filipinos support the national government's efforts to protect and assert the country's maritime rights in the West Philippine Sea amid a territorial dispute with China, according to a non-commissioned Octa research survey. Based on its Tugon ng Masa nationwide survey released on Thursday, January 16, Octa Research asked 1,200 male and female respondents aged 18 and above whether or not they would support the government's endeavors to assert the country's rights in its territorial waters. 84% of adult Filipinos are rallying behind the national government, noting that the agreement is highest in Metro Manila, with 90% of adult Filipinos expressing support, followed by Visayas at 87% and Mindanao at 83%. Octa said Balance Luzon recorded the lowest agreement at 81%. Among socioeconomic classes, the agreement is observed highest in Class D at 84%, followed closely by Class E at 83%, while Class A, B, and C are recorded at lowest agreement at 77%. The results also show that the agreement is nearly similar between males and females with 84% and 83% respectively. Octa's poll likewise showed that 91% of Filipinos are familiar with territorial disputes in the West Philippine Sea. According to Octa, awareness is highest in Visayas, where 96% of adult Filipinos are familiar with the issue, while Mindanao recorded the lowest awareness level at 87%. Octa said the survey was conducted using face-to-face interviews from November 10 to 16, 2024. The Philippine National Police Supervisory Office for Security and Investigation Agencies summons the mall security guard accused of mistreating a young girl as caught in a viral video on social media. Based on its initial assessment, the Civil Security Group, which houses the Supervisory Office of Security and Investigation Agencies, previously said the security guard may have violated ethical standards after destroying the sampaguita flowers the girl was selling when asking her to leave the mall premises. The video circulating on social media showed the girl, who was wearing a school uniform, resting on the steps of a mall in Metro Manila when the security guard approached her, asked her to leave, and destroyed the sampaguita flower she was selling in the process. Civil Security Group spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Yudisan Gultiano says that they have sent a summon to the security guard and its security agency. Gultiano says they are expected to appear at their office next week.
But by next week po, I cannot give the exact date, but we already sent a summon sa security guard at security agency. In fact, binigyan din natin ng responsibilidad ang security agency na siya po ang mag-bit-bit sa security guard sa pag-appear dito sa social. Today lang po naibigay yung summon.
Gultiano details the possible penalties that the security guard and the security agency may receive.
Sa security guard, maaari po ang pinaka-minimum nito ay fine. Pero nakikita natin na may mga possible na ma-aggravate na mga scenarios or situation, kaya po baka maari pong suspension. Pagdating naman sa DSA, maari pong fine ang ma-impose na penalty. And titingnan po din natin yung extent, yung gravity ng kanilang lapses or pagkukulang sa pag-handle ng sitwasyon or ng kanilang security agency. Titingnan po natin kung mayroon din pa maari pa ipataw ng suspension sa kanilang lisensya.
The Civil Security Group spokesperson also says that the Supervisory Office for Security and Investigation Agencies already conducted an administrative inspection both with the mall in Mandaluyong City and the police substation with jurisdiction of the area on Thursday evening, January 16. Meanwhile, in a separate interview, Mandaluyong Police Chief Colonel Mary Grace Madayag clarifies that the girl is an 18-year-old medical technology student, dismissing theories from social media users that she was a member of a criminal syndicate posing as a student to solicit alms. Madayag reports that they have visited the girl and their family at their home in Barangay Holy Spirit, Quezon City, together with personnel from the Commission on Human Rights, the Quezon City Police District, and barangay officials. Furthermore, the Mandaluyong Police clarifies that the video was taken in December 2024 without the girl knowing beforehand that she was being filmed.
December 17, 2024 po nangyari yon at initially na-upload na yan pero nakiusap sila na tanggalin tapos in-upload ulit kahapon nung vlogger.
Vic Sotto and Darryl Yap were both present at the Muntinlupa Regional Trial Court on Friday, January 17 to attend the hearing of the veteran TV host's petition for the writ of habeas data. Both Sotto and Yap greeted members of the press but did not comment on the legal matters because of the gag order earlier issued by the court. This is the first time that the two showbiz personalities arrived since the case was filed and eventually set for hearing. Yap, who arrived at the Muntinlupa court by himself, nonetheless said that he is okay and that he is finishing the movie, apparently referring to the film which he titled The Rapists of Pepsi Paloma. Meanwhile, Sotto, who was accompanied by his wife Pauline Luna, remained mum. Aside from the habeas data case, Sotto also separately filed 19 counts of cyber libel against Yap after Sotto's name was mentioned in the filmmaker's movie teaser as one of the alleged rapists of the late sexy actress. The habeas data petition sought to remove any information about him used in the promotion of the upcoming film. Yap's camp, in turn, filed an urgent motion for the issuance of a gag order. The director's camp stressed that the film involved in the case has yet to be released, hence discussing it in public could affect the director's project. The court then issued a gag order on the camp of both Sotto and Yap, directing all the parties to refrain from speaking about the contents of Yap's verified return and other matters concerning the case. Yap also filed a motion seeking to consolidate the habeas data civil case and the cyber libel complaint, which is still pending before the prosecutors. However, the same court rejected Yap's motion to consolidate, noting that the two legal actions are inherently distinct in nature, purpose, jurisdiction, and procedure.